Hi, in this video I will be showing you how to use Liquid Benchmarking web service. In order to begin, you need to log into Liquid Benchmarking platform. After logging into the Liquid Benchmark platform, you will see a page similar to this. You need to take your token. So first you need to click on your username here, and this is your token. It will be different for your user, so every user has its own token. This is the most important thing, that the system recognizes every user using this token. So you must not share it to any other users and have it in a secure place. So when we have the token, we can simply test the Liquid Benchmarking web service. First, we go to the help page. In order to make things faster, I already opened the Liquid Benchmarking help service. So the URL is liquidbenchmark.net:8080/liquid/rest/service/help. You don't need a token to go to this page. This is basically a test page we provided for you to show the system is working. So if this page is working, this means Liquid Benchmarking RESTful service is up and running. So let's do a query on the system. We can do a query on the queue. So every user has its own queue. In your queue, you can see your own previous attempts. These are all previous attempts that you can see in the system under your user. A web service is a service which helps you to access to all of this information without having to log into the system platform. So let's do a query. So I did it before. So liquidbenchmark.net:8080/liquid/rest/service/queue. So queue means I want to access the queue, and then question mark. You must provide your token. So this token belongs to your user, which you have just achieved it from the platform. So when you run this, you get all this information. This is a JSON formatted output, so it's compatible with every programming language. So it's parsable with every JSON parser. All the information which can be seen here is exactly the same as previous attempts in the platform. Now let's move on. We want to do some other things in the Liquid Benchmarking platform using web services. So the whole manual can be accessed through our wiki. So simply go to wiki.liquidbenchmark.net, and in the homepage you can see creating web services or RESTful interface. Click on RESTful interface and go to RESTful interface part and click on Liquid Benchmarking RESTful interface. All the information can be accessed from here. So first you can see the authentication, which we already talked about. You need to have the token, which we already took. So using the service, you can simply check it with using help. So this is the actual URL you have to use, and the method is get. Just remember, I just want to emphasize on this part. When you use your browser and put something in the address bar, you are always using get method. So all of these services for the first version is provided using get method. So it can be easily accessible using a normal browser. So the second one is queue, which we already checked. So you can go to this URL using your own token. So your own token must go here, and the method is get again. So we have just done that as well. So another feature is creating an experiment. In order to create an experiment, we need some components, and all those components must be taken from the platform. So we need a computational environment ID, we need an algorithm ID, we need task ID, and we need to specify if this experiment is gonna be private or public, and also we need to have an output parameter. So I want to show you how to do this. Let's create an experiment. We have to go to the platform first because we need to take all the IDs for these components. We must have the IDs, and then we can use the IDs as many times as we need. So let's switch to the platform. Alright, in here I want to run an experiment in XML compression subdomain. I just open XML compression. I go to sample algorithms. I want to use gzip. I want to try an experiment using gzip. So right click on gzip, go to properties, and you can see the ID here. The ID is 726. So just write it down somewhere, and we need a computation environment ID as well. So open the computation environment under the same domain. Remember that this must be, all these information must be under the same domain, otherwise the system won't be able to run your experiment. Now let's right click on the computation environment, which can be seen here. Right click on Windows and get properties, and we can see the ID of Windows, which is the computation environment, is 729. So write it down somewhere. And the next thing, we need a task. So this is a compression task which I have already created in past. I just right click on that, get properties, and the ID is 730. So I write it somewhere. And remember, we need another one, which is the output parameter. So I go to outputs and see I just have one output parameter. So we don't need to take the ID of output parameter. We only need to take the title of the output. So write it down, time. So we have one string, which is time, ID of gzip, ID of Windows, and ID of compression task. And also we need another variable, which is private or public. So if you want it to be private, you need to specify private word, or if you want to be public, just specify public. So we go back to create experiment page in our wiki. So we do have the token, we do have the computation environment ID, we do have algorithm ID, we do have task ID, and we know it. Let's say we want it to be public, and we do have output, which is time. All right, so let's create a new experiment. So we open a new tab. So remember, this can be accessed using any programming language or any software which is capable of sending requests, get or post to any web service. So this is for only demonstration purpose. I'm just using the normal browser. All right, so let's write down all the variables in the URL. All right, now in order to make things faster, I just put all the information in the URL. So I put the URL, and then we need to change queue to create experiment. So which is to create experiment, I just take it in here. So this is the method we are using, create experiment, and then we need to provide token, and then CP ID, which I have already done, then algorithm ID, then task ID, and type, which is public, also the output parameter, which is time. So let's go back to platform and see in previous attempts we have all finished status. So if we create a new one, we must see a new one in here as well. So it's all connected. Let's go there, hit enter. Again, we can see that we have created a new experiment, and the experiment ID is 214. You must keep this ID somewhere in a secure place, because in order to track an experiment, we will need this ID. So if we switch to the platform and refresh previous attempts, we can see that we just created 214 Windows gzip, and the task, and the status is pending. So basically we have just created a new experiment. Okay, let's track the newly created experiment by web service. So in order to track an experiment, we need to use getExperiment method. So I just copy this to the web browser here, and instead of token, I have to use my own token. And experiment ID. Experiment ID is 214. So I just enter, and I can see this is the experiment, the actual experiment. So the service path, image ID, and everything, all of the information, and it's in JSON format as well. So everything you can see here, but you can see there is a status which is 100. 100 means it's in pending status. There is no output, so we only have input here because this experiment hasn't been executed yet. So a liquid engine in specific intervals will try to execute this experiment, create a VM and send all the requests and the input to that VM, will execute it and finish the experiment and then read the output. And afterwards, when we call the exact same request with experiment ID 214, we will get output. So in order to show you how we get the output, I just want to try one of the other experiments that my account has access. So let's try 202. So we go there and we use 202 and hit enter. And so now we can see this. We have the output. So when an experiment is executed, so you just see the input and the output. So these are the output parameters after execution of the experiment. So the status can be seen, which is 103, means it's finished. And the other parameters like time, peak memory, it all depends on the algorithm you're gonna try to run on the system. So that's pretty much it. So we are always developing new methods to our web service. So when you go back in the future to wiki.liquidbenchmark.net, you may see new options and parameters in our RESTful interface. Thank you.